Hello and welcome to Bristol Sport TV. Well, in today's programme we're going to focus on Bristol Sport and Ashton Gate and take a look at what's been going on behind the scenes over the last few months as we've had to adapt our business models and our revenue streams to cope with the COVID pandemic. And I'm pleased to say joining me in the studio is Bristol Sport and Ashton Gate Managing Director Mark Kelly. Mark, welcome to you. Of course, the last time we spoke on Bristol Sport TV, I think we were in the first lockdown and now we're in lockdown 2.
Yeah, probably 9 months ago since the end of March when we last spoke. You talk about adapt in your introduction. The good thing is we've had 9 months of adapting the business model and reflecting the commercial and the sporting world. So we're ready to go into lockdown with a different level of confidence, dare I say, than we were back in March and April. Elite sport remains on the grass, and that's a great thing for us. It's a great thing for our commercial partners. We've worked incredibly hard over the last 6 months throughout the summer, and we brought on some new partners, as you can see today, with MansionBet and X-Ledger and Ravenscroft for rugby. So we're well positioned to go into this lockdown and to go beyond and back into hopefully what will become a new normal world.
Yeah, I mean, I think most companies are ready to go, if you like, again for lockdown number 2 in terms of just the practicalities, having laptops and phones and connections and remote connections, all of that. But I think there is naturally a sense of frustration that whilst everyone appreciates the need to protect lives and to protect the NHS, but there was a frustration that there was a feeling that business was starting to come back. And as we say, I've adapted to this, but actually perhaps more engaged than ever. And you mentioned our sponsors and our partners. There's been a huge engagement level going into the new season.
There has, and it gives us great confidence. The teams are doing well, which also always helps. But to also have some strong partners on the journey with you, that when sport is like a heartbeat, it goes up and down. So it is important that we align ourselves with the type of partners who can support us in the good and difficult times. And we're very well placed, as I say, to go into the season. The front of shirt, the back of shirt, the likes of Black Star and Hartley Pensions, and we're very well fixed commercially to be able to see through the next season behind doors.
On the front of shirt sponsors, it's unusual to go into the start of a season with 3 new front of shirt sponsors, and a huge success really for all of the teams in Bristol Sport.
It is. It's unusual, but it's by strategy. We want to make sure that we align ourselves with the credible partners who can buy into, if you like, our culture and our values and our aspiration. And we need to make sure that we not evolve, but we grow with our partnerships over the coming seasons. We're not, we don't want just to have 1-year sponsorship deals if possible. We want to be able to have 2, 3-year, 4-year deals where we can get the benefit as a club on the pitch, but also off the pitch. Our partners can then benefit through our values and through success. And
there was no better moment really for Ravenscroft to be launched as front of shirt sponsors at the moment of the European Challenge Cup final, and fantastic moment for them to see their brand on the front of a shirt lifting a trophy. Yeah,
fantastic and great opportunity for those, and we're very pleased that we're able to give them that profile, and that profile in Europe, the profile back here in the stadium. We had 250 odd people in the Lansdowne stand enjoying that evening, and it was a great night and a great achievement for Bristol Bears. Last couple of years has been incredible growth, and to start a new year and to bring Ravenscroft into the family was perfect timing.
Yeah, I mean, we're sat here with the shirts next to us as well. Aside from the front of shirt sponsors, of course, we have moved away from Bristol Sport being the shirt manufacturer. So now we are aligned with Hummel and with Umbro for rugby, and Kappa still with basketball because of sponsors of the BBL.
Yeah, Bristol Sport were on a continued journey. In the last 5 years, we did our own kit. We felt that we could, we always want to make sure we're doing things to the best of our ability. We felt that others at this time could perhaps do it better than we could, and we made the decision to put out a tender to see with a shirt manufacturer. Now both Umbro and Hummel came. Umbro for rugby experts, they're designing the English national team and delivering the English national team shirt, and Hummel, really creative, works really well with John Lansdowne, great partners, and you can see from the success of our shirt sales and from winning number of accolades for our shirt, the success that's brought us, and that's what Bristol Sport is here to do: continuously improve, and know our own strengths, and know when we have to partner with the right type of businesses.
You mentioned Bristol Sport there, and that whole, the notion is the cross-pollination in terms of trying trying to spread as much economies of scale as we can across the sporting group. But of course, it's natural that often we get sponsors that are engaged. You mentioned Jason Toogood, how their support enabled it. It went from rugby into basketball as well. And actually, we're seeing a similar thing with Xledger, of course, involved with the Bears Academy, but have now unveiled as front of shirt sponsor for the Flyers. I mean,
Xledger, you're absolutely right. Xledger in terms of cross-pollination, but also in terms of just growing with the group. And you know, we've met with Mark and Ian over a number of years, and where they started with the South Stand sponsorship, and they've evolved now to the academy, as you say, the rugby academy, and now to bring them on as Flyer partners. It's great, but that's the model that we want. We are looking, we're always trying to work hard to get partners where we can add value to them and they can add value to us. And Xledger, you just have to look at their own strapline. You know, it's very much aligned with the values of what Bristol Sport as a group is.
Yeah. You talk about Xledger and the empowering ambition tagline that they have, and Ravenscroft, a similar family-owned business as well, and similar values. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about betting companies involved with front-of-shirt sponsor deals, particularly in the Championship, and we're no exception. We have Mansion Bet on, but it is very much about trying to align values and impose our values, if you like, on making sure that we're aligned to the right sponsors.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, Mansion Bet, betting company, obviously, come on front of shirt. The industry in sport betting is aligned with sport. It always has been, and there is a large appetite for betting companies to come on board. And you know, it is about partnership. It's not one-sided, and we need to add value to them, but they also need to add value to us. And that's a relationship that I'm looking forward to working with closely over the next 6 to 9 months of the range of the season. Have a bit of fun with, keep that tone of voice, keep that tongue-in-cheek chatter, if you like, coming out, but they have to be aligned with us, and that's an important benchmark for us as a group.
I'm conscious that we've got the 3 men's team shirts here, but of course we've got 2 women's professional teams as well, with Bears Women and City Women as well, and of course their particular front of shirt sponsors is Shock Absorber and Yo Valley, 2 very particular brands that really align themselves well with women's sport particularly.
And this goes back to the Bristol Sport vision. We want to, I keep on saying the reputation, we want to align ourselves with the value of these credible companies. Yo Valley, a great local business, a business which is less than 10 miles down the road. We met them a number of years ago as a group. We've grown with them over the last couple of years. They've been a great partner for Bristol City women's team, and one day hopefully we can evolve again going forward over the next coming years. Shock Absorber is a brand, and it's great to get a credible brand like them to support us and support our teams. The future of women's sport needs funding and needs investment, and we are continuing to look for overarching and joint partners, how we can help develop the women's brand on the pitch and off the pitch. And we are always looking for partners to come on board and support that. And you only have to look at women's sport internationally to see the high level of sponsorship that is starting to attain and the value that that's bringing. It certainly is a step for the future for women's sport, for sure.
Now, I know you've been involved with the stadium 6-7 years now, and the growth and the change that has happened over that time has been phenomenal. It's not very often that we get time to actually sit and reflect back, but actually when you reflect back over the 6 or 7 years that you've been involved with, just talking from a commercial point of view, where we've evolved to where we've got front of shirt sponsors and these big national and international brands. You talk about Shock Absorber, they're a part of, Champion is part of the Haynes Group. They are a big international credible brand.
Yeah, and I think this hasn't happened by default. This goes back to the Lansdowne family's original vision, Steve and John looking what they want to achieve long term, and the stadium in some ways had to come first because it's a statement, it's a tangible statement within Bristol and within the UK to say, look, we're here, we mean business, we're aiming for sport and success, and with this brings sport and success partners and successful partners. And this doesn't happen by default. This happens by success on the pitch, having the right values, having the right culture, finding those partners and continuing to evolve those relationships. A lot of hard work goes in the background to be able to source these partners. But it's as a salesperson, it's easier once you take people into the stadium and to illustrate, this is what we do, this is what we plan to do, here's the plans for the SCC next door, this is what the vision is for the next 5 years. And that's important to big brands like Haynes and others, that they want to align themselves with growth and with alignment,
Yeah, and with ambition.
Yeah.
You talk about getting people here into the stadium. It's a key part of selling the dream, if you like. but we can't do that at the moment. I know it's much to your regret that we've managed to convert one of the corporate boxes into our own studio. Whilst I'd love to keep it as a studio, it's not actually what it was fit for. But it is interesting, that adaptation of our models of going, actually the stadium was built as a multi-use facility, and we have made every area of the stadium be used throughout lockdown in very different ways.
Yeah, and let's go back to the original objective for Ashton Gate. We were home for Bristol City and home for Bristol Bears, but we're also a 365-day-a-year venue. Now that stopped. That stopped at the end of March. It started again late summer, and we'll come back to that in a few minutes. But that was the original design and objective of the stadium. To be able to, within days, flip a corporate box into a TV studio and successfully host Robins TV and Flyers TV, which had record viewings last week, for that, it shows the value of Bristol Sport and the unique model that we have here in Bristol compared to other clubs, that we have the facility and the resource and the skill to be able to do that. Now, let's be clear, the Bristol Sport model remains unique in the sporting world. What we have here allows Mark Ashton and Mark Tainton and the other clubs to be able to focus on performance and focus on success without having to worry about how do we reach, how do we deal with season tickets, how do we deal with retail. And that's still a very unique and still a very successful model. And now more than ever is the strength of Bristol Sport as a group coming out.
I think one of the biggest challenges, we've just briefly talked about Robins TV and Flyers TV there, is that sport tends to be a habit and a routine, and people have had these rituals of coming to watch and support their team week in, week out for however many generations gone, and suddenly that's no more. And the only way that we can really engage with them is through our social media content and the streams. What do you see as some of the challenges going forward, and what do you want to try and deliver over the next 3-6 months in terms of particularly engaging our younger audience?
Yeah, I think, stadium, and I always say this, the Ashton Gate's been here for over 100 years. There's generations of legacy, generations of history, generations of habit which have been built in, not just around South Bristol in the recent years, but beyond, about families coming every other Saturday, groups of commercial partners coming every other Saturday. And there's a huge amount of legacy attached to Ashton Gate. That was stopped overnight, no more. And we've been very strong in lobbying for return for fans, and we'll continue to do that because it's important that we get fans back in sport participation in terms of bums on the seats. We have to adapt, and again, we have proven by facilitating Flyers TV that actually we can bring the game to your living room. Now, we just need to look at the numbers. Although they're successful, there's still a high percentage of season ticket holders that perhaps aren't engaged with us, and we need to be honest about that, and we need to understand how we strategize to bring these fans back at the right time. It's not everybody's cup of tea to sit home and watch football on TV. It's not.
Which I guess is why we saw such an uptake on people coming to the stadium, albeit still not being able to watch it on the pitch, but sat in the hospitality and restaurant areas in our bar to watch a game off a TV, because sport is communal. People want to engage with people. That's
the point. If sport wasn't communal, everybody would get Sky Sports. Everybody would just sit home and watch it week in, week out, right? But it's not about that, and it's about being in the environment, being in the atmosphere. Habits, we all love habits, and from my own experience, been here for a number of years, I can walk through the concourse, I can walk between the bars. Our fans like to stand in the same place they've always stood in, and they like to meet the same people, and we should not underestimate the impact that has on our fans, that we've taken that away, that's been taken away from them. And again, I keep on saying we'll lobby hard when it's right to get the return and when it's safe to do so. We can do up to 9,000, we feel safely. And when it's right, we'll bring that back, and we'll be noisy about that again to get fans back. But it's important. My biggest concern is the lack of engagement in sport participation on the grass and also watching the grass by our youngsters. I only need to look at my own kids, whose sport has now been stopped again due to lockdown. It's elite sport only. There is a risk that we lose engagement in sport. Get the kids back here, get the kids looking up to our players and really building a profile around children 7 to 13, 7 to 14-year-old. That's my concern, that they're not here. They haven't built up that legacy. They haven't built up that routine of coming. And we all know as parents that our kids can easily be distracted, and it's important that we don't lose sight of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been so much publicity about a potential lost generation of sport and being engaged, and I think it is on the onus of the clubs. Pat Lamb's talked about inspiring the community through rugby success, is actually look at these elite athletes, these elite performers, and you need to train and participate in sport if you want to get here. It isn't just about coming and watching, it's about actually engaging in it.
It is engaging on the grass as well as much off the grass, and if we can continue not having fans in and not allowing this growth and this, we all remember going to a stadium the first time, the awe of the atmosphere coming to a stadium. We're going to lose a generation. We're already struggling with this generation who are digital, and we found over a number of years ways of engaging with them very successfully. Our children fan base has grown, so it's just some successes of the hard work we put into it. But it does worry me, not just from our commercial point of view, but just from a general participation in sport point of view, that we lose this generation. Yeah.
And of course, our community foundations for each of the clubs and the Bristol Sport Foundation are working terribly hard to keep that engagement going. Who knows where it's going to be going, but hopefully this second lockdown will be shorter, and people will be back to sport and kids will be back to sport before they know it. In terms of the stadium and this adaptation of various different areas, of course we've started having comedy at the gate, we've had drive-in movies, and there's Christmas around the corner.
Yeah, we had the summer to trial what worked, what didn't work. The comedy acts have been great in the Dolmen, all social distance. We started off with Russell Kane, it was a great night. We've had a number, we've got another one booked in December, which we're going to keep for now because we feel we can do this safely, and with under, if we go into tier 2, tier 3, we can do this. We're talking to a large international name. We've got a very creative solution that we can put out on the pitch all year round. We can get 3,500 in the stands to be able to watch a comedy act. It's outdoors, so we're working incredibly hard to be able to get these acts to bring a bit of confidence back, bring a bit of fun back to the community. And there's not many places in Bristol that can do this, and there's so much negativity and doom and gloom around. I think we have an obligation to be able to turn a circle a little bit of that and bring some positivity back, and we're working very hard to fill the stadium in context of what's allowed to do when we can do, and watch this space for the next 6 months to what comes. Also, we've got Panto. We're going to do a drive-through Panto in the Winterstoke car park. If you'd have said to me 12 months ago, do you want to do a drive-in Panto? I would have thought you're off your head. So we've hate this word, but we've pivoted, we've adapted to be able to adapt to the current situation.
But it is about injecting a bit of fun as well. Sport is fun, most of the time. Okay, we have our ups and downs, all of us experience those, but overall, sport is meant to be fun, and coming to the stadium is meant to be fun. And like you say, no one planned on doing Panto here, but I think injecting a bit of fun into the local community could be what everyone needs coming out of this second lockdown.
Yeah, 100%. We are a big player in Bristol. We are the largest venue. We're the home of arguably two of the largest clubs in the southwest, and it's important for us, and it motivates me, it motivates my team to be able to wake up in the morning and say, right, what can we do to innovate? Drive-in Panto, great. Comedy act in the Dolmen, brilliant. Hospitality in a lounge but no fans outside. You know what, it's a bit of fun. Let's do this, and let's get people back in, let's get people back into new habits, let's get people out from the houses safely, and let's continue to be a big entertainment provider, whether it be sport, events, whatever, in Bristol.
Just finally, as I say, we're into the second lockdown. Of course, going into Christmas, charities have been probably hardest hit out of all of the spectrum in terms of people having funds available to donate to charities, and the stadium has really played its part with that. And I know that many of the viewers will be aware of the COVID-19 Emergency Relief Fund that has been going on, the food support, but I want to make mention to Fair Share, because a lot of people thought that finished in September when the schools went back, but actually Fair Share have become a long-term partner here. They're one of the largest food providers of charity food support in the country.
Yeah, if we reflect on the hard work that all of our charities did, and some of our partner charities did during lockdown, lockdown 1 in the concourses, it was inspirational. It was heartwarming to see. It's a shame that there's a need to do that, but obviously you can see from the Marcus Rashford campaigns that there is clearly a deficit in school meals and in poverty for food. So to partner with a company like FairShare or a charity like FairShare, again, aligns ourselves with the values. We've created space for them, we own some land next door, and we've created a warehouse facility for them to operate out of, and that's become a big part of their supply chain, and we will support them as long as they need to, over the coming months or years, to be able to fill this deficit.
It is about utilising all of our space, and you've mentioned that FairShare are in the land next door, which most people know as sort of the Wicks area, effectively, or that space next to the stadium. Of course, we have just recently announced the latest round of consultation for the plans for the Sporting Quarter and Longmoor Village. That is the next vision, and that must give people a lot of confidence to know that the Lansdowns are still going on and ahead with this build, and we will have hopefully a 4,000-seater sports and convention centre in a couple of years here.
Yeah, I think it's important to remain confident, and I will keep on using the word confidence and illustrating confidence whilst being realistic. We have to be realistic, and part of adapting is being able to have the confidence but the fluidity in our model to be able to change to whatever the world throws at us, right? And we've learned that now more than ever. A couple of things: don't react too quickly, because the government change, and so we've had to absorb decisions and then react thereafter. But if you look at the development next door, I think and the Lansdowne family are very keen to get this moving, and Martin Griffiths has done an incredible job in the background over a number of years, silently in the background, creating this vision and been able to deliver what is going to be the largest, must be one of the largest infrastructure projects within the South West that's going to come to fruition over the next couple of years. And that is a massive statement in itself, and there's a cog in the machine moving at a very fast pace, and it hasn't stopped. During lockdown, hasn't stopped over the last couple of years to be able to deliver that. And the feedback coming out is positive, and we should be looking forward to that and the future of what Bristol Sport's going to deliver. Yeah,
certainly a £180 million development programme is not to be sniffed at, and fingers crossed it will get underway sooner rather than later. Mark Kelly, thanks very much for joining us on the programme. And thanks to you for tuning in and watching Bristol Sport TV today. Make sure you follow us across our social channels so that you can stay up to date with all the very latest news. Goodbye.